Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with JediInsider.com, your #1 news source for everything Star Wars. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Rogue One Director Krennic figure from Hasbro. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style packaging we see with all the Black Series figures. You've got the black box with the red background, the figure's clearly displayed in the window box, you've got an image of the character and the name down below. Off to the side you have the red border. It tells us this is figure number 27 in the series, and then on the back of the packaging we have a brief bio in multiple languages. Alright, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging. Now this figure comes with a removable cape, and the cape is done with just a kind of flexible vinyl plastic, and the cape just fits over his shoulders. There's no clasp or anything. It does fit pretty snug on there, and you can easily remove it. You just pull it off, and I like the fact that it is removable. I think the figure looks pretty good without the cape. I don't know if he actually ever takes the cape off in the movie, but again, I think the figure itself looks pretty good without it. And for you customizers out there, this figure, this body will probably make double as a good Admiral Thrawn figure if you were so inclined to create a Thrawn head to go with it. But again, I do like the fact that the cape is removable. Now, besides the cape, the figure also comes with a weapon, an Imperial blaster, and this is done with just a gray plastic. You do have this kind of mustard yellowish green color that's painted on the bottom of the gun, but otherwise there's really not a lot of paint detail with this. I do like the sculpting on it. I like the scope and everything. He's also got a working gun holster so that you can put the gun in there. Now when you put the gun in, you want to make sure that you get the scope so it's inside the holster. It'll fit in the holster better if you get the scope inside as opposed to having the scope kind of slide outside like that. I don't think it fits in there as well when you do it like that. So again, when you put it in there, try and get the scope in there. It does bend the scope a little bit, but again, the gun fits in there nice and snug. Another way you can put the gun in the holster is by putting the gun in backwards like this, and actually this is probably the best way. I'm not sure how he actually has it in the movie, but I think that's probably, you can have the scope outside the holster so it doesn't bend the scope and it still fits in there nice and snug. And the figure will hold the gun in either hand, the right or the left hand, and he actually has kind of a trigger finger on both hands sticking out, so again, he'll hold it pretty good in both the left and the right hand. For the figure itself, I think Hasbro's done a pretty good job here. The face sculpt, I'm not super familiar with the actor playing this character, so I haven't studied him enough to know how much the face is. From what I've seen briefly in the trailers, the face sculpt seems to be a pretty good representation of the character, but again, it's probably not perfect. I do like the skin tone. The eyes are not perfect either, but I don't think they're too bad. It's, depending on how you look at him from the side, I think it looks pretty good. When you look at him head on, he maybe looks a little bit cross-eyed, but overall I think they did a pretty good job there. I like the paint color, the gray color on the hair, and again I like the skin tone on this figure. And then for the rest of the figure, he's got this white Imperial shirt, and he's got the rankings on his chest, which I like that, and then he's got the belt, which looks like an Imperial belt like we often see, again with the holster, and then he's got, I guess, maybe some magazines or something here sculpted on the back of the belt. And then the shirt or coat, whatever you want to call this, comes down over his waist, and this bottom piece is a soft vinyl type material, so you do have some give there. And then he's just got the black pants and the glossy black boots. So this figure stands just a hair over 6 inches tall. Here's a comparison with some other 6-inch Rogue One figures, so the Jyn Erso, the K2SO, and the Imperial Death Trooper. And overall, I think the scale looks pretty good among these 4 figures. Finally, here's a comparison with some other 6-inch Imperial figures. So we have the regular Imperial Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, and Emperor Palpatine. And the scale, again, among these seems to be pretty good. As you know, if you followed our New York Comic Con coverage, we will be getting an updated Darth Vader figure soon for the 6-inch Black Series. But again, between these, the scale seems to be pretty good. For articulation, the head's on a ball hinge joint, so you can turn the head to the left and the right, and he's got some down movement and a little bit of back movement, but not a whole lot. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good, and he's got good rotation there at the shoulder. He does not have a bicep swivel. He has a rotation at the elbow, a single hinged elbow, but can still bend it pretty good. And then he's got swivels on the wrist and hinges on the hand, so he's got up and down movement with the hands. He's got a waist swivel. He's got the legs are attached with ball joints, so because of the coat or tunic that comes down over his waist, he can only do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward about that much, and he can do his leg back about that much. He does have a thigh swivel. He's got the double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee, and then he's got hinges on the feet, so good up and down movement, and he does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, I like this figure. I think it's a pretty good representation of the character as he appears in the movie, at least from the trailers that I've seen. Also, I think this figure will be good for customizers. I think it's a good base for just a general Imperial officer with the white coat like we saw in Star Wars, A New Hope. Also, I think, as I said before, it would make a good base for a Grand Admiral Thrawn figure. So again, I think this overall is a pretty nice figure. Now, this figure is part of the second wave of 6-inch Rogue One figures and is starting to hit shelves now, especially at places like Walmart. We'll have a full image gallery up at JediInsider.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I'll have links to those in the video description below. And until next time, I'll catch you later.